Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Prerna, and I've been an account manager in Freepik for the past 6 years.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mariano, and I'm also an account manager for the contributors department. I joined Freepik recently, and I'm specialized in flat icon. Basically, I help icon designers to make the most out of their creations.
And we wanted to welcome you all to yet another webinar session. If this is the first webinar you're attending, then welcome. As you know, this is the second one we're doing. The first one is available online, so you can always go back once we finish this webinar and check it out. So if this is the first webinar you're attending, I would just like to explain briefly what is going to be the structure of the webinar. So me, along my colleague Mariano, we will be talking about what visual trends to expect in each type of content for 2021. Later, we have a special guest, or the CEO of the company, who will talk a little bit more on these trends and give us a bit of insight of what to expect in the growth of Freepik company this year. And at the end of the session, as you know, we will have a brief Q&A session where all three of us will be present. We have already added the most highlighted questions that you have asked during the survey in these past few weeks, but feel free to drop any questions in the question box below, and my team will gather as many as possible, and we will try to answer as many as possible towards the end, okay? So let's get started. We're gonna start with, okay, so then what to expect in 2021 when it comes to visual trends. We can finally say that we have left 2020 behind. A year that has changed our world completely, and start fresh this 2021 with the hope of seeing a bit of positive light at the end of the tunnel. However, it is normal that topics when it comes to creative trends, topics like remote work, social distancing, mask, and the time we have spent at home will be a big part still of the trends for sure this year. But one thing, the twist you could say in this 2021 that is highlighted are the technological advances and human consciousness towards nature. These are the two big factors that will appear a lot in the trends of this 2021. So now let's see what trends look like in 2021 based on the type of resource. So let's start with vectors. In vectors, as we can see, this trend is a point of union between the past and the evolution, where styles such as Art Deco meet a more futuristic aesthetic, usually represented with a boost of colors and that challenge the creativity of designers. Another trend that gives a more fun, relaxed, and multifunctional look is the cartoon theme. They work really well in packaging, in brand identity, or in app designs. A theme that knows how to stand out in a world full of color is the colorless trend. Everything in black and white makes the design look more elegant and provides an air of sophistication to the design. We will see the design used especially in UI designs, in landing pages, in apps, combined in many cases with large fonts. So it makes the text more visible. Another trend that is quite famous is the geometric trend, which is all about the shapes and the colors. So these geometric trends start from simple and flat shapes, full of color, to create complex, abstract compositions. They combine perfectly with other trends, such as the 3D designs, which I mentioned before, and the retro style, which I will explain ahead. Another trend is the optical illusion, which this trend combines distorted lines and shapes to create optical effects that alter our perception and sense of reality. And last but not least, in the vector section, we have the retrofuturism, which is the trend I mentioned before that goes really well with the geometric trend. The idea is to portray what the future will be like, but artistically speaking. This was the typical trend actually used in the 80s. And the style, we can highlight basically in backgrounds and banners, it's used a lot. Let's pass on to photos. There are a few trends that I would like to mention, which are quite famous this 2021. And one of them, as the name says, is minimalism, which means like it looks for clean and simple compositions where there's only room for the essential or the main element. Another trend quite famous is the aerial view, which has emerged thanks to the appearances of drones, which allow us to obtain perspectives particularly unexplored before. Another commonly used, this trend is commonly used for landscapes of nature, snowy forests, cities, roads, etc. What is known as the bird's eye view. Another trend is the film aesthetic, which this trend gives us an image a bit more of a cinematic mood, no? Using actions and movement effects. By aesthetics aspects, what stands out is the use of intimate lighting, softer images with more blur, and muted color palettes. The atmosphere and the surrounding in these type of images play an important role. The growth of social media giants such as Instagram and TikTok has made a big impact in this next trend, which is the vertical photography. That's the main reason why it's become one of the most important trends in this 2021. And last but not least, in the photo session, I would like to mention the authenticity trend, which is a trend that seeks only authentic and genuine ways to stand out in the world, as the name suggests. Photos that show different beauties, natural bodies, all human conditions, and that seek to connect more with the viewers through a sincere, authentic, and everyday image, what we tend to call candid photos. I'm going to let Mariano now explain a bit about the mock-ups.
Okay, thank you, Prena. So we're going to continue the trend for mock-ups. And as you all know, mock-ups are special. Mock-ups are highly demanded because they are big allies for designers and companies. They are very easy to customize and helpful for designers to take the product into a real life scenario, keeping the essence of the product and the workspace. One of the most important is cosmetics. It's a huge trend for this 2021. And especially because skincare, makeup products, they are becoming very popular these days, especially the ones that are all with natural ingredients. That's why there is a preference for like minimalist compositions, highlighting only the essential, like the product, and leaving aside all the unnecessary elements, like let's call the toxic ingredients. And in terms of the background, as the example you can see on the presentation, must be very clean and minimalistic with like soft pastel color palettes. Okay, so the next one is about outdoor ads, because it would be very costly for a company to actually pay for an outdoor ad and take pictures. And that's why businesses love this type of mock-up, because they are very without any extra cost or effort. There is a tendency for simple and minimalistic yet sophisticated designs, and with straight and very powerful typography that catches your attention. The next one is technology. Technology, you know, is changing, is improving every day, and showcasing technology is not something new. But what is new for this year as a trend is this floating effect. This floating effect will be seen a lot this year. Because it adds like an extra dimension to the design, achieving like kind of like a futuristic look. And of course, showcasing like smartphones, tablets, and laptops. The next one, this one is also very important because it's very aware of the world that we are living today, because we are becoming more and more concerned about environmental issues, because we have to take care of our planet and have a sustainable way of living. So nowadays it's a trend to use products that are environmental friendly. So any design with eco packaging, with sustainable and recycled packaging is going to be is a trend, and always keeping the design very simple and minimalistic too. The next one is about activism. This one is also like a very important topic in the last years, because 2020 was very important in terms of fighting for equity, women's rights, racial discrimination. And actually, the thing is that 2021, it is too, and even more. So people want to raise their voices, which means there is a higher demand for this visual representation of the causes. Like, as I said, equity for women's rights, racial discrimination, etc. So these type of mock-ups are going to be a trend for this year too. And the last one for mock-ups is going to be this one that we call shadow overlay. That is basically these shadows, this kind of shadow with leaves and plants. This is a trend that we saw a lot on social media, like Instagram, etc. So is a trend too also on design. Always keeping a flat lay composition and minimalist shadow for advertise any type of product. So this is going to be also an important trend for 2021. The next is about icons. You know, icons always add a personal touch to any design. And what is going to play a lead role during this year is colors. Sadly, we are going like all over the world through very difficult times. So let's say that we need a touch of color. So this is going also to apply for icons. The first one that you can see in the presentation is gradient icons. There's a preference for this type of icons with really vibrant and powerful colors, normally with monochromatic color ranges. This transition has to be very smooth, like the one that you can see in the presentation. And this type of icons gives like a sophisticated vibe, moving away a bit from the realistic style, but still it gives like a very good and sophisticated vibe. The next one is one actually of my favorites, is the geometric. Personally, I think they look like super cool. And basically it's like overlap geometric shapes like these ones. It's like kind of a way going back to the basics. That is very simple and flat shapes that gives us like this volume and depth and a very cool vibe too. So the next one is the 3D icons. We all know that 3D icons, it's been a long-standing trend since the internet started, this type of icon. And the truth is that they are still relevant on 2021. This type of icon recreates volume and surfaces and focus on the perspective in order to create a sense of reality. 3D icons, they are still very great for standing out and give like a realistic and original look to any project. And the last one about icons is actually one of my favorite that we call cuteness overload. It's basically all these type of cute icons that takes a lot from kawaii inspiration. And they are becoming very popular in the recent years. Basically is to put like faces, eyes, and mouth in any type of like object or character, and with always exaggerated proportions. So this is going to be a trend too, is already a trend. And in terms of color, the pastel tones, they go very well with this type of icons, but also like fluorescent and bright colors. Yeah, that's it about icons and mockups. So we're going to go now. Prena is going to talk about the Pantone for this year. So Prena, please.
Thank you, Mariano. So like every year at the end of 2020, Pantone launched not one, but two colors this year for this 2021. One is the Illuminating palette, which is like a vibrant yellow. And the other is the Ultimate Gray, which is like a neutral gray color. The Institute of Color has defined this combination as a marriage of optimism and strength. This choices of colors actually surprised all of us, as it's the first time they have chose a neutral color as the color of the year. However, the meaning behind the selection is powerful and accurate to the times we're living right now. So last year it was classic blue, which was picked to represent a time of change and the start of a new decade. And this year, due to the current pandemic that has stricken the whole world and we're all living currently, there's a need to feel that there's a bit more to it, no? That everything will be brighter at the end, or at least we hope so. And that's what the illuminating and ultimate gray is the perfect combo, no? To explain that. They are two different colors, but with independent meanings, but they really complement each other. So if you think about the two colors independently and separately, and then if you think about them in combination, that's when the magic occurs, no? Because there is no light without shades, if you think about it. So both colors create a powerful union of hope and resilience that keeps us thinking of a brighter future to come, no? And this is the message of positivity we all need right now. So to see the end at the end of the tunnel. So here I just wanted to gather a few examples of colors that are compatible and that go really well with the Pantone colors of 2021. As I said, these are just examples. You don't only have to use these colors. I'm sure there's lots of apps and websites that suggest colors that go with the Pantone colors. But yeah, I wanted to show a few examples just so if you use these colors in your designs, I'm sure you will get a higher percentage rate of acceptance in your resources. I'm gonna let Mariano now explain a little bit more in detail the colors that are easily combinable with the Pantone colors.
Okay, thank you, Prena. Actually, before this, I want to remind that to our viewers that they can keep sending questions that we are going to answer at the end of this webinar. So feel free to send any question. And yes, about the color trends, this for me is a very important matter because choosing a color palette is very difficult always for your creations. And we want to give all the possible information about the colors to choose the ones that will make your creations even more attractive to designers. Of course, besides all the Pantone that Prena just mentioned. The first one is the juicy tones that we call like juicy tones because it's formed by the range of saturated colors, such like orange, pink, magenta, and yellow accents. These colors gives like a boost of energy to begin the day with joy and enthusiasm and optimism. Again, mentioning on this difficult time that we are going through gives you like a feeling of a fresh new day. So all these colors, they are going to be a trend during all this year on any design. The next one is what we call earth tones. It's also related with all the trends that we were mentioning before, that of course are fully compatible. All the trends that we were talking about before about photos, mockup, etc. You can apply these colors to all your creations. This one is related with the fact of being connected with the earth or being environmental friendly. So all these shades of brown gives you like a warm and caring feeling and makes you aware of the environment. So this is going to be a key trend also during this year. And the last one about the colors is the blue. The blue is always a good choice for any composition because it makes you have trust, makes you feel trust and feel calm and relaxed. And now in these days, these times that everything is running very fast, this color palette gives you like an inspired tranquility and serenity. For this 2021, the trend is going to be to combine all these blue colors with pink because it adds a warmer touch. But basically, we say that blue is always like a good choice. Great. So now we're going to talk a bit about upcoming event and festivities. That this is also a very, very important matter because it can have a direct impact on your visibility and, of course, your earnings. We recommend to upload resources related to upcoming festivities at least 1 month or ideally 2 months before it. This way, you will get a lot of visibility and, of course, your incomes will increase because you will appear on the search results. For example, some example of these festivities that are upcoming is that Eid al-Fitr or the Festa Junina of Brazil, the World Pride Month, the 4th of July, the Father's Day, etc. And I want to remark again that, of course, all the trends about the colors can be applied for these designs. Okay, great.
Okay, so, at the end of each webinar, we try to explain what we've been working on in this last couple of months and what improvement we have done in the model of contributor for all of you guys. So one of them is we have introduced this month Freepik profiles. So the idea is for you to know firsthand the stories of our successful contributors. As you know, or as you might have seen, our first story was carried out by Alexander, which is one of our Russian ambassador and contributor as well. And we will be doing many more of these in the coming months. The idea is basically to portray, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you to go. It's available online and in our blog and in our Instagram. I highly recommend y'all to see it. And the idea is for you to know a bit on how Alexander became a famous designer, what styles and trends he follows and what he's good at and how he started his career as a designer, basically. So as I said, we are looking to do many of these in the coming months and even next year. So if you are interested, feel free to write your recommendation or your suggestion in the survey that we will send you at the end of this webinar, because everyone is welcome to be part of this Freepik profiles. Another, as you know, we are constantly working on improving our panels and our programs. And one program that we have improved in this last month has been the referral program. This is the time we wanted to improve a little bit more this referral program. And as you might have noticed in the panel, there has been some changes. And it's regarding the percentage, and the idea is for you to get an income based on your friends' earnings during the year. So it's beneficial for you and for your friend, obviously, and gain more visibility. And we just want to reward you for the performance and commitment in this case. So without further ado, now we're gonna present the CEO of the company, who I think doesn't need no introduction, because I'm sure you have read a lot about him, you know who I'm talking about. And if not, I'm sure you've seen videos or you've seen him in the newspaper also. So without any further ado, Joaquin Cuenca, welcome.
Thank you, Brenna. If you don't mind giving me video.
Yeah, 1 second.
I will start anyway. So I'm Joaquin Cuenca, a co-founder together with Alejandro Sanchez and his brother, Pablo Blanes, of Freepik company. We started 11 years ago with the project. And today I am co-CEO together with Alejandro Sanchez.
Joaquin, sorry, they tell me that you can activate your camera. There you go.
I could not do it before. It was not working before. Okay, great. Thank you. So I had to talk a little bit about what are our projects inside the company, what are we working on. So there are going to be some relatively minor but important additions to Freepik in the UI. For example, we are adding the ability to search inside an author page so that when people are looking for assets from a particular author, they will be able to search inside the author. This feature has been demanded by many users. We are also working on bringing improvements to the search engine that face the all the content that we have. Just to give you an idea on how it works, today we try to surface to show to the users the content that we think is more likely to be downloaded. But to do that, we do not always understand who is the user. So we give some global results. We look at global metrics of success. And it may be very well that when somebody, for example, in Japan, is looking for photos of people, they are certainly looking for a different kind of people, like more like Asians, rather than the results than an European or an American will look. So we are trying to show results that are more custom tailored to the customer to have a greater success engaging the customer. Another big shift that we have seen in the company in the past 2 years now is that we traditionally have provided content to professionals. Like the content that you have on Freepik is content that people can use with Adobe Illustrator. And we are trying to get more content that is usable by users that are not as professional as people that use Adobe Illustrator. So the strategy of offering photos to users, is aligned with that. Photos are an asset that are more easily consumed than illustrations. And we are making a big push to get a larger quantity of photos. Also, photos greatly benefit from a vast network of contributors because photos taken in Spain, in Thailand, in Singapore, in the US, they are all completely different, and it is very difficult to fake it. Comparatively, icons are much easier to produce anywhere for a global audience, but photos are very particular on that. So we are going to rely strongly on the network of contributors to get a wider variety of photos. So also with the goal to be able to engage with people that are not necessarily professional, we are creating tools that will allow people to use our content directly from the browser. So probably you saw that we recently launched Freepik, which is an online editor that will allow you, it's a little bit like the editor in Canva, that will allow you to edit and to create banners, birthday invitations, business cards, etc. But also will allow you to modify and to filter photos, to resize them, to crop them, etc. So we are working on it to make it very easy to use. And the goal here is to have more people that will be able to consume the content that you put on the platform. Yeah. So on the contributor side, I spoke about photos, but there are more media types. We're talking about mockups, about templates. Those are media types that we see rising. Actually, one of the goals that we have with the editor is that if somebody that is semi-professional is using the editor, typically what you want, at the end is not to send just the raw material that you created, but you also want to show your customer how this material can be displayed in, like in a real scenario. So for that, it's important for us to have mockups that we can integrate with the editor to offer even a greater added value to the user. So in contributors, we're looking for people that send photos, that send mockups, that send templates on top of people that are already sending illustrations and icons. And we are actually also, and this is a novelty, we are gonna add videos to the platform really soon. So soon enough, we will have, we will also ask the community to send videos and to sell videos to the platform. And for that, we will have to go through the same exercise that we are doing here. We'll need to understand what kind of themes work best with videos. Is it videos of people with a green background? Is it like drone videos? And if so, is it videos of landscapes? Is it videos of people? We need to understand it's going to be a new medium that we don't understand yet. And we are going to have to squeeze all the data that we can about this new media. I already saw some questions on the chat about what kind of photos are going to be the best. And actually, this is the kind of insights that we need to gain with the data that we have to help you create content that is more successful on the platform. We also want today typically contributors contribute to the premium side of Freepik. Okay, but Freepik, as you know, has a freemium side and a premium side. And traditionally, the freemium side is dominated by our content. Actually, the freemium side, when we open it to the first few contributors, they have seen great returns there. What we do is, instead of splitting income by the subscription income across the downloads, as we are doing on the premium side, we just pay some fixed amount per download. And the rationale here is that even a visitor that do not subscribe, they also add value to the platform because eventually they will subscribe. So you have all this traffic that has a value. And in the meantime, they see ads, they click on them, or they can go to the affiliate links that we have. So we monetize the traffic that even when they do not convert to subscription. And putting content on the freemium side, it increases the visibility, it increases the recurrence of those users. And we want to get more people, adding content to the freemium site to make it even more attractive, to increase the attractiveness of the platform. And, on the topic of making the platform more relevant for end users, you also know that we launched 2 years ago Slides Go, which has slide templates. The rationale behind the launch was, first of all, there was this thing about Adobe Illustrator being a difficult to use tool that is only accessible by really professionals, roughly. So we wanted to create content for a tool that was accessible by regular people. And we thought that Google Slides and PowerPoint, that both of them can be used online. And even their offline versions, the offline version of PowerPoint is a tool that is relatively easy to use and relatively widespread. Many people have it and know how to use it. So the rationale was that if we create content for those tools, the platform will be more approachable by regular users. And the second point was that many people came to Freepik looking for a certain kind of assets, like backgrounds, for example. And the idea was that it seems like many people are actually, one of the use cases was to create presentations. So we got the idea, what if we actually create, a full presentation that will help the user even more than just having disconnected images. And it worked very well. And many of you have asked if it will be possible in the future to contribute content to Slides Go. Honestly, we have not yet taken a decision on this. Difficulty with Slides Go is that to create a presentation, you typically require many different kinds of content. you require icons, you need photos, you need illustrations, and you need to combine them all in a presentation that makes sense. For us, it is challenging to do so, but we can pull it out because we already have flat icon, where we have many icons that we do ourselves. We have photos on Freepik, so we have many different kind of contents where we have the whole ownership of the content, and we can create the derived content that is a slide in Slides Go relatively easily. And we do not know how easy it will be to do that for an external contributor using their own content and content where they have the full rights. So this is something that we want to explore, but I cannot yet offer a definitive answer to that. Okay, so we are really in a very exciting moment. You know, the design, I got the feeling that is getting democratized. Like everybody's doing design. Everybody's moving into digital. Everybody's doing digital images. So the market is growing. We have the example of Canva. They fixed to some extent the barrier that regular people got that regular people got with the Adobe tools that are relatively difficult to use, and they made it easy to use. And when they just simplified a little bit the usage of this content, the quantity of people doing graphical content exploded. So we are at the point right now where more and more people, are joining like the digital revolution. More and more people want to do some marketing for the business, and they are going to pick content that is already close to what they want. It's very difficult for regular people to start with a blank page. For people like you, creatives, it's a little bit difficult to see it, but when you do not have that expertise, it's really difficult to create something. So in a way, what Canva did was they made it very easy in a design to change a color. The task that we are doing is to actually suggest the color that the user really needs. Okay, it's like a different barrier. We are fixing the creative barrier for the user. And that's why we are getting more and more users over time. And we believe it's going to be a great platform to submit your content and to highlight it. And we hope to be able to, to give you more and more revenues as time goes on. Okay, and with that, I think I'm done, and I will be open to answer any questions that you have when it's time. So, Prerna, I give it back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Joaquin. As Joaquin said, we're going to pass on to the Q&A session. We have already gathered a few questions that you have asked during the survey, and we've added it to the presentation. So we're just going to go ahead, and I'm going to read the questions out loud, and any of us three can answer, okay? So the first question is, how many people work at Freepik?
Okay, so here by work, if we understand full-time employees, we are 340, roughly. I don't remember the exact number, but it's around 340. Now, if we include freelancers that work very closely with the team doing commission work, then we have to add around 400 more people. So it will be like 750 roughly. And then on top of that, people that work with Freepik, we can add the contributors that are over 10,000 different people.
Perfect. Just wanted to add that I think in this 2020, during the confinement, Freepik grew 150 employees. So yeah, as Joaquin said, we're constantly growing. Next question. Does it matter how often we upload new files?
No.
I can answer if you want.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So yeah, for us, it is important to be constant when you upload. It doesn't matter if you upload 20 images or vectors or photos or PSD files or 2,000, but it is very important for you to be constant depending on the amount of your portfolio. If you have a big portfolio or a small portfolio, you can upload files accordingly. But it is important to be constant because that will help you get more downloads, more visibility, and consequently more earnings. Next question. We have experienced many errors in the contributor panel lately. Why?
I can go with this one if you want. Yes, we know that in the last couple of months, we have been experiencing some issues regarding the estimation of the download statistics on the contributor panel. And this is due because of the very large amount of downloads that we have this month. And yeah, but we have like a whole team working on it, on the structure, architecture, and the user experience of the contributor panel. And hopefully, yeah, these kind of issues, they will not appear anymore in the future. So we are like fully working on it.
If you don't mind, let me add something to that. First of all, allow me to apologize for all the errors in the contributor panel. It is true, there have been many. I am not so convinced that we are out of the sticks yet. So there's possibly going to be some more errors in the future. What's happening is that we are, there are constantly like legal changes across the world on, that change how the VAT rules, that change, you experience different tax issues. So the tax code is evolving and we have to adapt to those changes. And sometimes the time frame, the deadline is quite short, and we had to push some changes without the due tests, and we made some mistakes there. This is a part that we want to, let me say, professionalize a little bit more. Like we want to bring more rigor to the contributor panel and to handle it with the same metrics and the same uptime that we have on the front page of Freepik. So it is gonna be, it is gonna be a process. We are gonna improve the robustness of the system, but it is not gonna happen overnight. We are also introducing more changes to, as Mariano mentioned, to calculate the payment that we own to contributors in a more scalable way. And as we are transitioning from our legacy system to the new system, sometimes there are inconsistencies that we need to clean up. So we will get better, but we are not there yet. And we are sorry about that.
Perfect. Next question. Is the price per download going to change?
Yeah, let me take this one. The price per download, it is reflected in the contract, is a percentage of what the users pay. Now, just to give you some insight into that, what's going on as we work today is that we took a look at what are the total revenues that people put into the subscription, and we split that across the total downloads that people do. Okay. This sounds fair, and this is how many systems work. For example, Spotify or Apple, many big systems, marketplaces that work like that. But it has a critical flaw, is that if you have a set of users that make a disproportionate amount of downloads compared to what they pay, okay? Let me give you an example. In average, people in India, for example, download per user around 5 times more than people in the US. Okay. However, the price per subscription is similar. Actually, the price in the US is a little bit bigger than in India. So that means that in average, today, if you make content that is more appealing to an Indian audience, okay, you may get a little bit more revenues than if you make content from an American audience. that makes like the revenues that go to contributor, that makes it not align with the revenues on the company. And this is something that we want to fix. We want to better align the revenues that we have in the company with the revenues that you get. Okay, I hope that answered the question. So it all depends on how much money is gonna enter into the company, okay, and how many downloads, you know, and actually what do the people need to actually become a subscriber. This is like the big key point. As more people join, as we get more revenues, we will distribute more revenues per download to the users.
Perfect. Next question. Why tags are edited when Freepik team reviews the resources?
That's a great question. Okay, the reason for that is a weakness on our search engine. We are not able to accurately detect tags that are in the image but should not be in the image. And this is a weakness in our system today. Some people have a tendency to put tags that are very popular but are not related to what they did, with the intention of getting traffic. So we manually review the tags, and the intention behind that was to remove those like popular tags that should not be there. However, I agree that it is a painful process, both for us, because it's very labor intensive, and for you, because it makes it makes the publication lag, you know, and also sometimes we make mistakes, and people obviously you know, feel like their work is being downgraded because we remove some tag that was legitimate, and people take it when they should not have taken it out. So we are working in improvements to the search engines, so that I expect that in the near future we will be able to take your content with your tags and just make the system understand better what tags really represent the content, and what tags, you know, are a useful descriptor of what's in the image. And it is, again, it is important for you, and it is important for us also, because otherwise we will not be able to scale up the content that we receive.
Perfect. Next question. Tell us about the tax residency certificate. Why is it so important to upload it?
Okay, so this is related to how it works in Spain. It is the same in most of Europe, I think, and I think that even in most of the world, with the big exception of the United States. Okay, the thing is that for authorities, for Spanish authorities, it is very important to understand when we pay somebody, if this person lives in Spain or not. And hereby lives, you may think that a regular residency certificate is enough, but those two things, certificate of residence and tax residency certificate, are completely disconnected. You may be a resident in a country, but a tax resident in another country. And what matters here is the tax residency. So we need to prove to Spanish authorities that you are actually living where you say that you are living, that you are a tax residency certificate of your country, okay? Because otherwise they will not accept that you live there, and therefore they will understand by default that you are a Spanish resident, and they will retain 24%. Okay. Now, if you live in a foreign country, and you can prove that, okay, then if there is a bilateral agreement between Spain and your country, and this is actually true for most countries in the world, and we are very lucky about that. Like Spain is one of the top 3 countries in the world with more bilateral agreements, with some exceptions. So Danish, Peru, Azerbaijan. There are some exceptions, but overall, it is one of the best countries to do this. They sign many bilateral agreements. If you can prove that you live in your country and your country has a bilateral agreement with Spain, typically the tax that we have to retain is much lower. It can be 10%, 5%, 0% in many cases. Okay, it can be larger than that in some other cases, but it is typically around 5%, okay, which is much lower than 24%. So here's the thing: if we trust you on your country, and we are ready to do that, but if we trusted you, like somebody tell us that he is or she is a Russian resident, and we retain you the tax that the bilateral agreement allows us to retain, which I don't remember with Russia, but let's say that is 5% instead of 24%. And we got a visit from the Spanish authorities. If we do not show the tax residence certificate of this contributor, they will penalize us. We'll have to pay the 24% and then a fine on top of that for not doing it right. Okay, so for us, it is absolutely essential to have the tax residency certificate, because otherwise we have no choice by law than to retain 24%. Now, we are making an exception. It is, in some cases, we know that the country where you live in will not give you the tax residency certificate until something happens. Like, for example, until you have lived there for more than 6 months, or until the year has expired, like in Thailand, okay? More than 6 months, like in Russia. So you cannot get the tax residency certificate before half of the year or before the end of the year. And sadly, there is no answer from the Spanish authorities to that. So in theory, we should have to retain you 24% until we get the certificate, and it doesn't matter the circumstances. Now, what we are doing is that when we know that the contributor cannot get really the certificate before a certain date, we are making an exception, and we are retaining what the bilateral agreements allows us to retain, hoping that when the contributor can get the certificate, they will give it to us, and it will regularize the situation. Because if the contributor does not give us the certificate, we will have to pay 24% and we will have to pay the fine, and this will be on us. Again, that's why for us it's so important to ask you for the tax residency certificate, and we are giving you, I hope in all cases, all the time needed to ask for it. We are giving you time knowing, we are trying to understand in each country when they can provide it. But once the authorities provide the certificate, we are being strict that you will have like 1 or 2 months to get it, but we really need it. Okay. Again, I think that almost all countries in the world work like this. I said there's a single exception, which is United States. In the United States, you do not need a tax residency certificate. What you do is that you fill a form, which is called the W-8, where you say under perjury that you are a resident on X country, and they accept that. But it is the only country in the world. So if we were based in the US, the logistics of this will be much simpler. But we are not. We are based in Spain, and we have to comply with Spanish law. This is where we are today. And again, I'm sorry for all the hassle. It took us by surprise also, and we have learned a lot in the past few months. We know that it is a hassle for you, but again, it is really, really important for us to get those tax residency certificate. We are trying to help you with that. We are trying to give you some samples on how they look like, what is the real certificate. So again, if you have any trouble getting a real certificate, please get in contact with the team. We'll try to help you as much as we can, but just understand that we are not experts on all the tax regimes in the world, and we don't know exactly how to get it everywhere. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Why is the reviewing process time different? Sometimes long, sometimes fast.
Yes. The reason for that is that sometimes the team has made a big effort and we got more people like processing the items, then we kind of clean the queue and then it piles up again. So there is not a good reason behind that. I will actually take a step back and say that why is there a reviewing process at all? Like it is, if we were just cleaning things that are really, really non-suitable for Freepik, you can imagine like obscene images or things that really are not, should not be on Freepik, that will be easy. But now again, we are making a subjective call on the quality of the content that is very difficult to make because we lack some smarts on the search engine. So if the search engine that we have was able to better understand the quality of the images or how the users react to the different images to highlight the better ones, it will not be such an issue to get something where the quality is not as high. And we will have a much more streamlined reviewing process where, where the latency between the time when you submit something until the time it gets published will be very short. And we are working on that, but we are not there yet. We want to make a process that is really as painless as possible for you. And we know that we are not there.
I would just like to add on this, like that's the reason why sometimes we ask for festivity content to be uploaded a month or two before, because as a reviewing process takes time as well, because after reviewing and selecting them, it goes through the catalogation team that checks the tags and titles, as we mentioned before. So sometimes there's a delay, as Joaquin said, depending on the number of content and various factors. And that's the reason why we suggest you to always upload content in advance if you can, to help you get more downloads and for us also to make the process easier. Next question. Are you planning to create an app for the contributor panel?
Yes, we are. So again, if you want the long answer, the contributor panel, we are working, as I mentioned before, in our mind, it should be closer to Freepik, the website. So it has to be, the uptime, it has to be 100%. It has to answer fast. It has to be polished, high quality, easy to use, accessible from any platform. So we are working on just putting the same quality standards that we have on the website to have it on the contributor side. And that includes creating an app.
Perfect. Next question. What will be the next big campaign? I think Mariano has the answer to this one. So
yeah, I think we can talk about this. It's going to be in May, related with summer sales. So we encourage contributors to start creating summer sales related content. And we're going to announce it very soon on Instagram and also the contributor panel. And for us, it's also a way to reward our contributors that have been working for us for a long time, because we know that these resources are going to be downloaded much more. So yes, we're going to announce it soon. So check your contributors panel and also on Instagram, and it will be related with summer sales.
Perfect. Next question. Can I edit titles, tags, and delete published files? Currently, it's not possible. Like as a contributor, you cannot delete or edit any of these factors. But the reason is because, as we've mentioned before, it goes through a selection process and then it goes through a revision of tags and titles. Maybe this can change in the future. I'm not aware of that. But if you ever want to delete a published file, you can always contact customer service or an account manager, and we can always help you delete any published file if needed.
The technical difficulty with that is that we look at the behavior of the images when they get published. So the first days are very important for us to understand, what are the strong keywords, what are the weak keywords, etc. We get some statistics. So that's why sometimes you see like new content being highlighted in some searches on the first page randomly. Okay, there is some serendipity there. There's also, we're trying to gather some intuition about what are the strong and the weak tags. Now, if you change the tags, we may believe that the content has been there for a while, but no user has ever used one of the tags. So even if you fix it, you create a new tag, we will, not give it any strength to the tag, so to say. So that's why keeping the same asset with some changes is not trivial. So in the future, we'll probably work more like understanding how many times we displayed an image under each search term, so that if we have a new search term, we will start displaying it because we didn't display the image under this search term before, and it will be easier to change tags. But today, even if technically it's easy to add a new tag, we do not have the pipeline for that, because the content that gets the new tag will not get highlighted, so to say.
Perfect. Next question. Is it possible to become a contributor for Slides Go?
Okay, I mentioned that before. So today, no. In the future, we may open it. The difficulty here is that really a slide in Slides Go requires many different kind of assets, and it's going to be a bit challenging for a contributor to be able to create icons, photos, illustrations at the same time. But yeah, I mean, we can make some tests in the future, and we will be open to that.
Perfect. Next question. Are you planning to do a webinar in Spanish?
Well, I think I can take this one. Actually, yes. We are very excited about it. We've been asked many times because the Spanish community of contributors we have is very large. So yes, actually it's going to be probably with Fotodinero, one of our contributors. Actually, we already have a couple of podcasts with them that you can check on Spotify on their website. So the answer is yes, very soon. We don't know yet when, but we are going to announce it.
Perfect. Next question. Are there plans to introduce extended license?
What do you mean by extended licenses?
Any other license that is not the standard license, I'm assuming.
Yes, you saw, and there are some questions about that. You saw like the essential license that we launched in 5 countries. And there was some question about how is it going to affect the revenues from contributors. So the answer to that is that in some countries, we have realized that people are very sensitive to price. Like, again, I will take the example of India, but it's happening in Indonesia and in many other countries. If we lower the price, we get more people signing up. However, in those countries, we are actually operating at a loss. We are losing money because the images that people download cost us more money than what the people put in the subscription. Okay, so that's why we created the essential subscription, is that we believe that we can capture users that today we are not capturing, okay, because they are not ready yet to pay like 9 euros, but they can maybe pay 3-4 euros. Okay, so in a way, it's like a soft landing of the user. We are trying to get the user engaged, to know more about the platform, and there in every search, they will have the content that they can download, the free content that they can use without attribution, the premium content that we created and they can download with the essential subscription. They will also have the premium content that they cannot download except if they move into premium. Okay, so we believe that it will help more people, get closer to premium. We also want to give the ability to subscribers to purchase a certain number of downloads of premium content. So the intention here is for those essential users, they will be able to purchase a certain number of premium images, and we will do that probably at the net zero for us. So, all the money that we receive there will probably distribute it in payments to the contributors. So the intention here is to get people that cannot pay a subscription of €9, and there are many of them in certain countries, to engage them with the platform and hopefully give them some value and being able to capture some of that value as extra revenues that we will be able to distribute to contributors, part of it. But the intention here is to make them, take them closer to the platform. There are plans to introduce extended licenses. Yes, there is a plan. There is a plan to allow people to purchase, like the same thing that I say, allow them to purchase premium images. It is possible that we'll extend that to regular users. So maybe some people will be able to, instead of subscribing, to purchase a certain number of downloads that will be more limited, much more reduced. But some people do not like subscriptions, or some people just subscribe to unsubscribe and to download a single image. And this will allow them to purchase your content much more easily.
Okay, perfect. I think we've reached the end of our Q&A. I know my colleague has written a few questions that you guys have asked during the webinar, but unfortunately, due to time, we won't be able to answer them, but we will make sure to answer them via Instagram or email or in the survey. We will.
If you don't mind,
answer questions.
If
Sorry.
you have the gun, I would like quickly to go through some of them.
Sure.
It is a little bit out of script, but I would like to answer some of them. So first question, how can we contribute to Freepik? Today it's too early. We just launched it and there still we need, first of all, to get traction to understand the product. We're not yet there. There was a question, is the order of tags important in search? Today, no. It is completely irrelevant. Okay. It is possible that in the future we may give some more weight to the first tags. So my recommendation, as in other systems, is to put the more important tags at the very beginning, but today it is really not used. It is not important. Okay. This is a very good one. It is a more specific guide on how to name layers or smart objects in vectors or EPEs, respectively. Okay, today, no, but we want to make it. And the reason for that is that we want to enhance Freepik to allow people to, today you have to download the whole illustration, but we want to allow people to download individual elements from the illustration. And for that, we'll need your collaboration to name layers in a certain way so that we can extract them, okay, and give them as individual downloads. Okay. Somebody says that they have uploaded 3 times their Polish tax certificate, and every time it has been rejected. Please send it to the team with a note to me. Okay, I actually manually reviewed like 15,000 certificate tax residence tax certificates. So I became very acquainted with the different tax certificates. It is weird that they cannot give a validity date. It is usually not allowed because nobody can certificate that you are going to be a tax resident forever. There is always, per law in general, date, but if the authorities told you that, I would like to review that and to make the legal question. Okay, we need to ask our legal advisor, but it is really rare. It is strange.
You can email support@freepik.com and they can forward the email to Joaquin.
Yeah, do it. Eugenia said, do we have a problem with the statistics on the web? Maybe, I don't know. Again, email support because there may be a bug there. The question was essential, I answer it. The rejection of content is huge. It discourages every contributor. We know, we are aware of that. Again, we are working to try to remove that bottleneck. And anything that can reduce downloads at the end of 2020 experiences a very serious decline. I'm not aware of anything that may explain that. So contact the team to see if they have any insights, because I do not know. Do the curators edit the tags of contributors' design? Yes, they do. Sometimes they do. It is very disadvantageous. I saw some examples where it is true that they made some changes that were negative, that were actually the author was right with the tags and our team was wrong. Again, we're trying to, but they have a very challenging job with that. Again, we are trying to just use the tags that you provide, but we are not ready yet. I want to know when you are going to delete the automatic rejected files from the system so this problem doesn't affect my percentage. I'm not sure I understand
That was an error that happened last month. It was a technical error due to many rejected files were rejected automatically. But again, write to support@Freepik and we will manage your case individually.
So what they need to do to become Freepik ambassador, that's all for you. And please, I mean, you can send an email and people will explain you. Why aren't social media files taken now? I do not know. So I don't know. Have you thought about a logo editor maker? We did actually a few years ago, but not enough time. But it is true. It is another one of those like niche apps that looks appealing. Have you noticed a significant increase of contributors due to coronavirus and home working? Actually, not. With coronavirus, there were difficulties working with photographers for obvious reasons, because it was very difficult for them to work outside. But no, there has not been a huge change there. Can contributors be allowed to choose which resources will be free or premium? I actually do not know. So Brenna, that's more for you.
Yeah, well, they can email us and we can always check their portfolio and see, and we have to give them the option, but yeah, email us and we can check each one's case individually.
And it's how, I'm not sure I understand it, how we can see some famous microstock going to reduce contributor rates. So it seems like some famous microstock is going to reduce contributor rates, and what do we think about it? And if it's possible to wait for Freepik opposite strategy. In general, the strategy with Freepik is simple. We are trying to align our revenues with your revenues. So the idea is the more money we make, the more money you make. And that's it. And the more content, the content that contributes more to people joining the platform will earn more. So that's like the North Star. Okay. And other than that, I do not know about other micro stock policies. So how about new subscription category, the essential patch? So I answered this one already. So some of my photos are rejected for trademark, editorial photos from Spain, that at the same time, some of the photos from same day with logos from same shops on street are accepted. All these photos, okay. So today we do not have editorial photos. If some of them were accepted, it was actually a bug. They should be all rejected because we do not allow. I mean, this is like a very long subject. This, that in photos you have the copyright of the photographer, And then, but then the subject of the photo, if it's a person, you need a model release. If there is some logos that may be subjected to trademark, and it's a legal, minefield. It is very difficult to do the legal right thing. So we are a little bit cautious. So it is possible that some photo is a little bit on the borderline. Okay, like it may be acceptable because there may be some trademark, but it's really tiny, and somebody may think that it's not gonna, and it will never be an issue. And some of the people may make a different judgment call and may think that there is a trademark and there is a trademark and that's it, and it is rejected.
But when it comes to trademark, if you just remove the logo or the element, it will be accepted most probably.
Go with Photoshop and you kind of remove it, then it should be accepted. What does Cuenca talk about? Okay, it's with a C, by the way. What do you think about 3D icons, PPT, PNG, render? How can Freepik sell it? I don't understand. How can we sell it? I mean, if it's an icon and if we have the legal right to sell it, we will sell it. I don't understand the question. So I'm a stock photographer and traveler, and I have many photos from my travels. Composition. Okay, again,
I think some of the general questions was already answered by the team over here because you can answer written. So I think we should cut it here. Okay. If you're okay with it. I'm sorry for cutting you.
You're being wise. Right.
Thank you for all the express answers that you have given us. And I'm sure everyone values the responses. And that's it. We're just reaching towards the end now. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined. And I hope you like this session. Maybe next time we should do just a Q&A because it seems like everyone has lots of questions. But thank you for participating as well. And today we are more than 13,700 contributors in Freepik and Flaticon, and we're constantly increasing our community. So thank you for being part of Freepik Universe. And if you haven't followed us yet, please follow us in Freepik Contributor on Instagram, where we keep on uploading tips and suggestions on how to improve the quality of your content, trends to follow, etc. And also our blog, of course, where we have a section dedicated only to contributors, where there's tips and tutorials on how to improve your designs in general. Mariano?
Well, I want to thank you to also everyone for attending this webinar, and of course for your interesting questions, and also for all our teammates that you don't see them, but they are all around making this possible. And of course, Joaquin also for attending this. And yeah, hopefully we're going to have a new webinar soon in Spanish. So yeah, keep connected with us and we will announce everything.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.